Okay, so I want to talk about bringing yourself back into the now on the twin flame journey, taking control over your mind, taking control over your thoughts. All of us on this journey know that we are pushed to our limits over and over and over, and all of our boundaries are pulled. All of our limits are pushed, and all of a sudden we really go deep and we really see what's important, and we become bigger than life because of it. So I mean, I've noticed that it's almost like I've lost my shyness because it just seems so small next to what we go through, the pain that we go through, and the ego death that we go through, and the dark night of the soul, and losing that we want the most over and over and over again, and coming into these higher realms that it's like surreal. It's like learning these whole new worlds exist all around you, and feeling such immense and intense emotions, and feeling that connection to God. It's like connection to the all, connection to everything. It's on this journey, we are brought to our knees. We are literally brought to our knees, on many occasions brought to our knees. That we also learn that there's so much more, and that we're in control and have no control completely at the same time. We have to surrender into this journey. There is no other way. There is no other way. There is no other route to go down. And because at some point you just see there's nothing to hold on to. There's nothing to hold on to. And there's so many different, we tell ourselves so many different stories. There's so many different ways to look at things. There's so many different storylines going on. There's so many different perspectives. There's so many different emotions. We go from these enormous, full love, embraced feeling like we are complete light and of light and loved and unconditional and in just awe of life, and in awe of everything around us, the flowers, the smells. We're pure love light, and we are unconditional love, and we feel this unconditional love for this other person, and then we keep on getting like into, which is like heaven, which is like being in this state of mind where everything is just, it's like connecting to the vibration of God. And then we get tossed back down. We keep on spiraling. We keep on, but we're broadening as we're spiraling. But then we keep on getting tossed back down into the ego to do some more overcoming work. Where we overcome where we're grasping, where we're hooked on, things that are causing us pain. All the pain in the world sits in expectation. Things that we want them to be a certain way, and they are not that way. We have to completely lose ourselves to gain ourselves back in our full strength. It's like turning ourselves inside out all the way, feeling the full spectrum of the emotions, knowing that we are powerful beings, and that we have the ability to feel and go through every single one of our emotions to the extent of it until it meets, which is a paradox, full circle. There's so many different aspects to this. I feel like I'm still a student. I'm still learning. So yesterday I'll tell the story of yesterday. So yesterday, he called me. He was stuck in the mud, almost where I was stuck in the mud a couple days ago. He got stuck in the mud, and I went and helped get him out. He was on his way down to the spring. I got stuck there on Thursday. Yesterday was Monday already. So it was quite a few days with no rain where it dried up. But he still got stuck in the mud, and I went and I pulled him out. And there were so many lessons in it. At first, he tied a rope between us, and the rope broke because it was a weak bind. And then he put a thicker rope that was a really nice heavy-duty rope, and that rope held. And you can kind of see it like when you build if you build a weak bond, a weak rope tied between us, it breaks. But if you build a nice strong bond, you take a strong rope, a strong tie, it's durable, it lasts. One can pull the other and the other will come. They're tied together. It binds you. And so that was really quite a lesson. And then we went and played in the mud. And it was like we had a mud day. It was lots of fun. I love playing in the mud, getting all muddy and stuff. And so then we decided we were going to try to find a different way down there, to a different route. And so we went around the field. When I was leading, we got lost. So here's another lesson. I was leading and we got lost. I took a wrong turn because they had barricaded this other road off with these boulders, and I wasn't expecting to see boulders there, so anyway, we were on the wrong side of the fence when we finally got to the turnoff, and then there was no turnoff. So then he led, and we went on this. We had to go out of there and down the highway a little ways and into another turnoff, and the whole road was like half washed out, and we really had to get out of the car like multiple times. There's this one big mud hole. We piled it up with a whole bunch of rocks and built ourselves a way to get across it. And another couple mud puddles that we scooted through, car behind car. And it was a lot of fun. We had a mud day. And then we got there. Finally, we made it there. And we were just jam-packed with just full-on mud. Our cars and tires. And it was... And then he shot the bow and arrow a little while, and I picked some greens and filled up water, because I drink water from the spring. And so he also filled up water from the spring. And we had a really fun mud day. It was a really fun mud day. So I'm an appreciation for that. That was a lot of fun. And I feel like I'm a lot more let go. There's always these jabs. There's always the ego that wants to jump up and is looking for more and more and more. More time. Wait a minute, but that's not. But the time that we have together is like sweet. It's sweet. We just have we get go into this bubble, and we do cool things like traipsing through the mud, or metal detecting in the ocean, or going and picking greens, or going and making bonfires and cooking, or a couple years ago we did some camping, and we did cool things together. And that's worth a lot, the friendship there, the ability to connect with somebody on so many different levels and so many different places. It's like having I don't know. It feels kind of like having a best friend, but not really, because it's like I don't feel free to be able to call him and and I certainly don't feel free to call him and say, hey, do you want to meet? But when we do meet, it always seems to be pretty special. It always seems to be pretty unique. It always seems to be what needed to be at that moment. days before that, I was kind of spiraling. I've been going deep lately, like really deep, and I've kind of been a little bit easy with myself too. Just allowing myself. I'm kind of letting my own self off the hook. You know, what will be, will be. What will be, will be. So Helen Brown just sent me a friend request. That's what came up. So, and Facebook. And I still feel like the chasing energy, and I feel it's like I have there's so many different stories going on all at once. I'm feeling a little bit like manipulated. I know that whenever I break it all down, I always feel like it's for my own good, that I'm growing from it. But at the same time, those feelings of feeling like manipulated, and those, you know, they're emotions that are real, and they feel real. And to go through them, you know, you feel them. You have to go through them. You have to feel them. And when you're going through them, it's intense. You know, you can't be over it until you really are over it. And when you really are over it, then it doesn't move you anymore. Like, you can feel those emotions, but they're not in charge of you anymore. They don't manage you. They don't make you run or stay or manipulate you or control you. You are in control of your emotions. You understand them. You know what they're telling you. You've done the work. You've gotten the lessons. You've cleaned that place out, and now you're good in that place. And then the universe will always come in and test you. And the thing with tests is that when you pass them, you don't even know that there was a test there. Because it's like you pass it with flying colors. You didn't even notice it. It bypassed you. Because you don't get caught up on it anymore. And sometimes if you're just past it, you can still recognize it. Like, oh, in that place, I would have behaved that way at one point. And the best ones are, these are just the ones that you really love. The ones that you get right after you failed the test, like the universe brings you tests. And right after you fail it, almost as you're watching it play out in front of your eyes, you already see how you fell in the pit. Like, you already see that you took the bait, you sunk, and you didn't rise in that place. And those are the places that hurt. Like, it's like a burn. You get burnt, and you see the price that you're paying. Like, you actually see the freaking price that you're paying. And so that's one of those things. That's one of those, that is how this spiritual awakening is working. And that is how this twin flame thing is catapulting us into it, forcing us to go through it, because it's so freaking painful. It's like you have to overcome your ego to overcome the pain. You have to. And that's the work. You go deep and you understand the things. Otherwise, you keep looping in that pain. You have to give into it. You have to just allow the pain to go through you. And as the pain goes through you, it brings up all of the thoughts that have ever brought you that same pain in your life. And so you have to go through yourself and through all of your traumas, and you heal, and slowly it's layer by layer until you get all the way down into the depths of the depths. Like with my other divine counterparts, the other one, I don't even know, it's like divine destiny meeting. I don't even know. I don't know what to call it. It just feels like this playmate, like this energetic counterpart that is a perfect match. Like if there's two, what are they called when you have like electrons, I think inside of the atom that go around each other? I don't know what they're called. But it's this magnetic push-pull force that you have to find that perfect balance with. Otherwise, it keeps on going all over the place and you get shot out of the energetic connection. And that is the most painful. When you feel like the pull away from, it's the energy, you know, you have the colliding, it's like a big mishmash. It's like the energy meets and it, for a while it like pulsates or is distance from itself within. It's like still finding the merge. And I feel like you get to such depths on this journey that when it gets to those levels of depth, there's nothing topical anymore. It's like all burned out and it becomes like raw. And when it becomes raw like that, I'm talking about in the 3D world. First of all, when it becomes raw like that, it's when you give in. It's when you give in and you just quit fighting it. It's just what it is, it is. You quit chasing. There's like an acceptance there. Like a surrendering into it. It's bigger than I am. And then you just trust, because you realize also that the more you try to pull or manipulate it or make it be a certain way, the more your expectations are just ripped out of and beneath your feet. And there is nothing for you to do but be. I mean, you have to at some point surrender into it. There's nothing to hold on to. And when you do surrender like that, there's a relief. I feel like I am at that point that is in between. It's like the shaking, it shakes back and forth in between the ego and the higher self. It's like going in, it's like being born through that portal into the alternative to a parallel dimension. It's like you're fully moving into that other dimension, into the knowing, into letting go, into the trusting, into trusting and letting God. And there's nothing you can do. And you also understand that when you've been this far on the journey, you understand the divine nature of it. You see the miracles. You see how you were fighting against, and every single time you see the intelligence behind what happened. Every single time you see the divine plan. You see the cause and effect. You see the exactness of it. You see that it had to be that way and it couldn't have been different. And you see the miracle of it. And you see the love behind it. And you see that you have grown from it. And then you become humbled. And then as you see it over and over and over, and you see the miracles over and over and over, you begin to trust. And the more you trust, the more you see. The more you see, the more you trust. It's like it works like that with itself. And then you start really sitting into your higher self and just allowance. You just let the world flow through you and you flow through the world too. It's like you just let go and you just say, okay, it is what it is. Right now, I am driving through the ancient city of Magdala. Magdala, the archaeological digs are to my right, and Magdala archaeological digs are to my left. See over there? That's archaeological digs. And over to this side, let's have an intersection. That is the ancient. That's the hotel that the ancient, they actually have it dug out there in the streets. You can walk in the streets of ancient Magdala. And then there's a big shopping center here. And over on that side is Arbel. See that big, I don't know if you can see it. There's a big cliff. That big cliff is Arbel. And that has a rich history too. I'm not going to, it's a really interesting story. There was a holdout in the caves up there, and the Romans came in from the top and smoked them out of the caves. And then pulled them out. So there's a story there. And my other one lives up there on top of that mountain that I can see from literally every view from my house. Every view from my house, that massive cliff. It's almost like he has taken over the identity of that cliff. And I feel connected to Magdala. I did a movie about Magdala, if you want to go in and see it. It was like one of my very first movies. I did it with my sister, and we went and visited Magdala, the ancient city, and then I show the city and the hotel a little bit and tell the story of that day, and we go into the church. My sister's a singer, and we sing, and it was a really fun day. And so if you want to watch that, that is like one of my first movies. Okay, I'm rattling on, so I am going to stop this. Thank you for watching.